The Council on the Future of Vermont may have been the most systematic analysis of public values in a generation in Vermont. It found that the highest ranked value, when we analyzed what we heard from Vermonters, 4,000 Vermonters in interviews and through polls, the highest ranked value was the working landscape and its heritage, that it's fundamental to who we are, it's fundamental to our opportunities for the future. VCRD looked at that as an organization, the Vermont Council on Rural Development, and we found a fundamental contradiction in the 20-year trend lines that we commissioned as part of this process. That while we have this enormous value, we also look at the trend lines for dairy farms and the trend lines for the forest products industry. And we look at a 40-year cyclical history in public policy that says we need to diversify, we need to add value, we need to capture the dollars in this natural resource economy for our rural communities. We also know we have to capture a new generation of young people in this state to make sure that our rural communities are strong. The Council on the Future of Vermont asked, what do we stand for as a people? And the people of Vermont told us the working landscape and its future. For the working landscape to be successful in the future, it means commitment, and it may mean sacrifice. It means that we need to line up for something bigger than ourselves that's fundamental to the future of our state. VCRD commissioned the Council on the Future of Vermont to knock out a plan to describe how we systematically move this forward. So it's not just a vision, but it's an implementable action plan that we can stand behind and that we can put our shoulders to the plow together around to implement. It's not just a pretty view. The working landscape is based on the economic decisions of families. We have to look to how we condition economic decisions and economic opportunities and business opportunities that have an economic return so that families can be successful in this arena in the future. More families than ever. In that regard, we're talking about a job strategy that builds from Vermont's brand identity and our fundamental values as a people, the things that are most important to us, preserving our land and advancing rural community opportunity. When you think about the green economy, you have to think about the foundation of that economy, and it's the land. You have to think about the foundation of resilience in the face of global warming, and that's people working the land profitably. You also have to think about Vermont's key opportunity in the green economy to come. We're probably not going to compete with China for building solar collectors, but we can lead this nation in the local foods movement and innovative natural resource economy. We have the foundations, we have the land, and we have the people. So we're looking with this plan to expand the economy that sustains long-term ecological, recreational, and brand attributes of Vermont and maintains the beauty and character of the state. Meanwhile, attracting a new generation and inspiring our own children to create new farm and forest operations and bring value back to strong rural communities. In this plan, investing in our farm and forest future, we have 5 points. There's a lot of great background work, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of perspective. But the 5 points are clear and simple. One is that we need to unite together around a campaign on Vermont's brand identity, both internally for our own story, but also our story to the rest of this country. That Vermont is going to be a leader in food systems for the nation, that Vermont is going to be a leader in the natural resource economy and in innovation, that we are the place. If you're looking and you're in Nebraska or you're in California, you're saying, where is all this work going to happen? We want people to turn and look to Vermont. We want young people to turn to Vermont, but we want investors to turn to Vermont. We want business leaders to turn to Vermont. So we believe that we need a marketing campaign that says those core messages, that this is essential to our brand and that we're going to be leading, not just following the market. You can't just have rhetoric. You need to put dollars into it. The second point is that we need to develop a Vermont Agriculture and Forest Products Development Fund managed by a board that unites state government and the authorities that have power to invest and help drive enterprise development in Vermont. That we need to build an engine that supports entrepreneurs, that supports startups, provides wraparound services to potential high-growth companies to help farms and value-added processors grow to scale, and that invests in infrastructure development. Work like that at Jasper Hill Farms, where they invested in cheese caves for way beyond the capacity that they needed for their own farm, to build a tent that would bring in opportunities for diversification to all their neighbors. And they're teaching their neighbors how to make cheese. And they're building a terroir, a fundamental taste of place that they can market nationally and internationally. That model is a model that must be replicated for us to be successful. We need to look at rural economic development clusters, and we need to invest in those for their success. They'll create jobs, they'll create business opportunities. Third, we have to look at the long-term foundations of what conserves our land. We've made tremendous progress, and Gil Livingston is here, the president of the Vermont Land Trust. We've made tremendous progress in conserving land, but we're not done with that process. It's essential that we preserve our conservation investments and that we maintain the current use program, which is so essential to the decisions of families long term. But we also need to say, what are the other things we can do to condition positive decisions by landowners to keep their land in active production for the long term? We talk about sustainability. Well, how do we help condition decisions that lead to longer term and more sustainable land use? So we believe that we need a working lands designation that has benefits attached to it. It provides an area of priority for particular enterprise lands that are crucial to the future of the state, that people would be able to apply for this designation and receive these benefits, and that this would help condition long-term operational success, but also their decisions around land use. The fourth part of the plan is saying all Vermonters benefit from the working landscape, and all of us should contribute to the working landscape. If this is a fundamental priority for the future of Vermont, we're going to have to contribute to it. You can't contribute to it by anecdote, and you can't contribute to it in an unsystematic way. We believe that this is so fundamental to us, we need to make a significant and consistent and long-term investment. In the plan, we call for $15 million annually in investment in enterprise development to support the farm and forest economy. We know that's a large figure. It's a figure that would gain national attention to Vermont. It's a figure that would have a transformative effect in terms of startup businesses, growth businesses, and infrastructure development over time. And we believe that it's essential for us to each to contribute to this, that you can't do this just on philanthropy or just in the private sector. Though state leadership and state investment will draw private investment, drive potentially federal dollars, and drive philanthropic funding as well. The state needs to take leadership. And that means we need to contribute. In the plan, we describe a tax vehicle connected to the sales tax. We know that's challenging. We think it's important that we recognize that we need to be challenged and that we need to make a choice. This is the platform that we're putting forward. We recognize that there's going to be a long dialogue about this. We welcome that dialogue. The fifth element is that this work is really the end of years of thought and research about the structure of how state government works and how this issue has been addressed over time. 20 years ago, after the Commission on Vermont's Future, we built a planning structure that was designed to be a T-square, where agencies across state government and towns and regions all had a communication center with a planning office at the state level. We've designed over time an economic development cabinet, a development cabinet that would consistently lead forward economic development planning. In Vermont, the T-square is broken. There's no central place where there's communications between towns, regions, and the state, and state agency cross-planning doesn't come to a point of focus, and it doesn't connect the economy and land use. These conversations happen separately, and they're disempowered. When you think of planning, planning is the way that you use democracy to set long-term goals for the way that people are going to line up together. Without a stronger planning structure, we're blown by political winds. And it's essential that we build a stronger structure with the development cabinet and a planning office that tie the T back together. So that's the fifth point in the platform. We're really excited to be opening this campaign today. We recognize it's a starting point for an enormous amount of work over the next few months. We're eager to work with leadership on all sides. We don't believe we have all the final answers, but that this is the start of a process of discussion that we believe will make significant progress for the future of the working landscape. We believe it's essential, and that this is the time. It's a time where we have to make choices, and we have to see how dedicated we really are to moving these issues forward.